Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
Welcome back, guys. And we wanted to thank and welcome our newest Patreon family members, where we put videos up that are unique and they don't go anywhere else about every 2 or 3 days.
Yes, we do want to say a huge thank you to Timothy, Marcus, Wise Owl, Shirley, North Star, Paul, and B. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for your support. It does mean everything to us, enables us to keep going in these times. So let's start with a few things that are not about the chaos and war over in Israel. And here you see gosh, that is an apocalyptic fire surrounding an Argentinian town of Villa Carlos Paz. This totally looks like just Armageddon, doesn't it? It's approaching this urbanized area. Very, very scary. They say it was set by a single person, and it was just, again, an accident. Well, that's what they say. But really what's going on is obviously a global incident. And, of course, here you go again. Climate change. The ongoing drought and high temperatures exacerbated by climate change have increased the risk of wildfires in Argentina, and people are asked to evacuate the region. There's multiple active wildfires going on. I mean, certainly you could see the chaos, and you could see how this is a hazardous situation, and I'm sure there's all sorts of toxins in the air. You know, there's no truly safe place on the globe in these times. At least we are totally unaware. There might be some islands off somewhere that are not going to be getting hit by floods or anything, maybe. And I expect you might find some people that have been, we've been told that they're no longer alive, but they're actually probably on these very safe islands at this time.
That's right. It's just hard to say. It's just extremely unfortunate.
Yeah, and here we see all flights have been suspended. Lufton Airport in London, massive fire erupted at the terminal car parking. Some said it was an electric car that just spontaneously went on fire. And this whole structure collapsed, and this is in London. I do think we're going to see all sorts. You remember all the train derailments for a while there? We were just covering nothing but train derailments and explosions randomly. I think we're going to see that like tenfold, hundredfold. It's going to be just at such a high level that we're not going to really be able to cover it. And it's getting very close. Now, this is odd, and this is another horrible incident. We have another quake that strikes an area already devastated. This says over 2,000 Afghans lost their lives. I think there was more than that. I remember seeing like 2,200. 6.3, and in fact, there's been 3 6.3s exactly in this area. Talk about symmetry, or talk about some sort of earthquake weapon machine. This is Afghanistan too, and Afghanistan's made the statement that the Taliban has made the statement that they want a clear path so they can go to Israel and reclaim Israel for the Palestinians. And then we see 3 6.3s. This area can get big quakes, but still, it is certainly curious with everything else that's going on at this time. And do not forget this. Here we go. We are less than 3 days away. October 14th, the annual solar eclipse will cross North, Central, and South America in one of the best observational paths on the American continent ever. And bonus, it's going to show up as a ring of fire. Ring of fire. For you Johnny Cash fans out there. Going down, down, down right in the ring of fire. Yeah, absolutely. Look at this. It comes in at Oregon and it goes out in Texas. And it just makes me think of all the migrants coming over the border. And look at how it's kind of almost going symmetrical with the border. And it even crosses Panama at the Darien Gap. Hello, this area down here where you see that red dot. Well, that's Costa Rica, and then here's Panama. And this is the area where all those migrants have been seen coming from China, coming from Venezuela, Nicaragua. Again, this is where Michael Yan is stationed and reporting on it. And 10,000 plus a day coming over to infiltrate the U.S. and also from many African nations. You can't make this stuff up. And the thing they're banking on is, they're banking on people thinking this is the will of the creator of the universe, but it is not. Well, free will is the will of the creator of this universe, but not the death and destruction and nonstop violence that we've seen. No, it's that big realization of the bigger picture. Israel war. Eric Adams warns of terror attacks on New York City by lone wolves radicalized by Hamas. As you have massive protests, you could look at them as protests to what Israel is doing. You could look at them as a show of support for Hamas and the Palestinians all over the world. U.S. cities too. There was another major one up in Michigan, Dearborn, Michigan. New York City saw some big protests, or again rallies, whichever way you want to look at it. They're having the same effect, and everybody is being pushed into taking one side or another, and that's exactly what they want to happen. Exactly what they want to happen, and we talked about global jihad on a Patreon only video. And then I'm looking today, and it's pretty obvious, what's coming. The leader of Hamas just called for a global day of jihad this Friday. Do not leave your homes that day unless there is an emergency. Avoid public transit, avoid airplanes, avoid public events. Now, yeah, and he's not talking about just, for the people that are in the Middle East or Europe. He's talking to everybody. This is global jihad. Global jihad. This is why, again, we are always harping on the religious aspects of it, because this is their number one source of power and control. It's not even the political structure. If they control you in this life mentally, and in what you perceive the next life to be mentally, they absolutely, totally control you.
The words about the ring of fire, that's most appropriate. That's usually what they do, is put information in there that they intend on acting on in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, the belief aspect is so powerful, and so many times, unfortunately, more often than not, people don't need to be pushed to one side or the other. They're already on one side or the other. And I think that's what makes the importance of waking up so very important, because people don't even know that they're being corralled and they're being utilized, they're being used, and they're sold, because belief is so very important. People usually see what they think they're going to see. They see whatever they're going to create. And being in a belief system where if you step outside of this realm, your soul is going to burn in hell forever, that's just totally not true. That's totally not true. There's so many different avenues you can go down. You do not need to go down the organized religion aspect of things. That's what they've created for us.
Yeah, unfortunately, organized religion is organized chaos. This is the reality. That doesn't mean you're an atheist, because you'll have people that can't perceive of any options. But no, there is a creator of this universe. There is a source of all things. There is a oneness that is beyond understanding, and ultimately the source of all things, even though we are in what might be described at this point in time as kind of a hellish realm. Ultimately, that source is love, and we can't understand that bigger picture until we have that, that revealing at the core of the individual, again, that the Gnostics spoke of as that gnosis, and the Hindus call it self-realization. and others in other traditions call it different things. But here you have cartels dressed up and showing their masks. They're calling for a purge, a day of think of this, a day of purge or a global purge. You have the cartels that have been helping bring so many people over borders, and the cartels are all the way up in Canada. As we're talking about the Mexican cartels, the drug cartels are, even more than Mexican. In general, again, they work hand in hand with the alphabet soups. They always have. That's the big reveal. They're calling for a purge. Think about the organized chaos. Think about the loosh that is created just by seeing these things. Now, this is, down there in Mexico, but this can also be something that we see in other areas as they come actively online, and they are kind of guiding the chaos created by the illegal migrants when they are activated. Not all the migrants, again, there is a disproportionate amount coming over now that are all military age males, and that should be pretty darn obvious to everybody. Earlier times, you saw a lot more families making it through. You can still see some families making it through. But then we see complete boatloads being dropped off, going the same path into Italy, that there's not a single female among them. There's not a single female among them. And they're all military age males. King of Jordan, there will be no security and peace in the region without establishment of a Palestinian state with East Jerusalem as its capital. Hezbollah, the United States, is a partner in the Israeli aggression, and we hold it responsible for the killing, crime, and siege. Now, Hezbollah, associated with Iran, Hamas is already engaged, associated with the Palestinian people. And here you have Israel is only the first target, warns Hamas commander Mahmoud al-Zahar. The entire planet will be under our law. There will be no more Jews or Christian traitors. We believe in what our prophet Muhammad said. Allah drew the ends of the world near one another for my sake, and I have seen its eastern and western ends. The dominion of my nation would reach those ends, that they have been drawn near me. Zahar said in a video that was published in Memory TV on December 2022. The entire 510 million square kilometers of planet Earth will come under a system where there is no injustice, no oppression, no Zionism, no treacherous Christianity, and no killings and crimes like those being committed against the Palestinians and against the Arabs in all the Arab countries, in Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, and other countries, he said. Meanwhile, the West continues to flood our countries with terrorists and their supporters. So, global jihad, obviously, this is, again, exactly what Albert Pike was talking about back in 1871. They want them to destroy each other, and I've seen comments, where you have some people who are fundamentalist persuasion saying, well, we know how it all turns out, the good book tells us. They have a good book too. And their ending is diametrically opposed in many ways to this is just utilizing people, keeping people in a state of fear that, you will be punished in the afterlife if you don't follow what we say now. And it is not the case. There are so many people that have remembered past lives. They didn't burn forever. They didn't. I mean, I remember several past lives. Cindy does too. And Cindy has the ability to communicate with people that are passed on. And she really can contact them the vast majority of the time and see where they are. And they're not in hellfire. So, these perspectives are completely about control. They're not reality. They are not reality. So they are facing imminent humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza. and you have power plants stopping completely within hours due to depletion of fuel. It's going to be complete darkness. Can you imagine the chaos in complete darkness? No food, no water, bombs going off, gunshots going off. This is kind of like the Purge being experienced by 2 million people. 2 million people. I've seen some say 3 million. Again, the numbers, they may not be accurate, as constantly taking censuses is something that we can't really rely on, and doesn't always happen. First ammunition-laden plane landing in Israel from the U.S. Officials tell us the Pentagon's considering deploying a second aircraft carrier. And again, Turkey's president was saying, what are you going to do with that aircraft carrier? Turkey is most definitely a wild card that will probably switch positions maybe multiple times. And you have Putin saying it's horrific, which it actually obviously is. And, again, will he be, because there are calls for him to mitigate some sort of peace. Will there be a truce? If you look closely at some of the prophecies again out there, there could be what is given to be a truce, but then that's when the biggest blows start. It is very well possible they could have a brief truce, and then it gets even worse, or it could be again that it goes straight into that downward spiral. So, this girl is talking about what's going on in Palestine. And there's water tanks on rooftops, almost all rooftops in the area. They're controlled by private corporations who give Palestinians less than the amount of water which authorities would say is necessary to be healthy. And yet, they give ample water to the new settlers coming in to settle on these lands. This is, part of why you saw them targeting people in the settlement lands, because, again, they've been kicked off all their lands. And this is part of the big reveal. And here you have, just another day in Gaza as, things are... small arms fire, bombs. This is it's just horrible. Here you have Senator Marco Rubio. Israel can't be expected to coexist with these Hamas. They are terrorists who slaughter women, children, and the elderly. And I saw an opportunity there because, he had tweeted this and there's only 54 posts. So just reminding him about the Nakba, which was the Palestinian catastrophe, how these people were kicked off their land. They were settled. That was their home. They were kicked off their lands and they became permanently displaced. So sad that politicians have no understanding or heart, or they're being paid well just to take a position. Again, I don't think they're unfortunately very intelligent. I just think these politicians tend to be very greedy.
Mm-hmm. Well, they are, and they don't really have any other substance about them besides, where am I going to get my income? Where am I going to get my part? It's all about me. It's that separate energy, lower chakra, type of energy where the ego is just screaming and yelling and needing attention. And that's where most of us are not. We're moving beyond that. That's why we're looking at this saying, how can this happen? How can this be? Casting light on it, sending prayers, sending our energy so that people who are caught in the crossfire are not, they're not, permanently caught in the crossfire. It's just disgusting. The whole political structure needs to go. I don't see any progress being made anywhere, and people can sit there and say, well, if so-and-so was in office, this wouldn't happen. Yes, it would, because once we realize that little thing called gaslighting and how deliberate it is, then we start to see how horrible and evil this whole system is. And actually, it helps the soul. You're not twisting your soul so much to try to understand, why would somebody do that? Well, they do it because they want to. They do it because the objective is complete destruction. That's why they do it.
Yeah, and I also told him to read the book of Joshua because I see him always quoting the Bible. And, here you go. They basically committed genocide to, basically take it in the first place. Read the book of Joshua, read the Old Testament, and you see it's always been this way in this dark age. As you see a little jealousy here, I can't believe you're going to eat that whole thing. Give me one lick. One lick. My mouth's not that big.
Everybody should share.
Yeah, absolutely. So, guys, I look forward to your comments. Thanks again for your support over on Patreon. Stay prepared in these times. Obviously, it's going to be a challenging time, but we can rise above it. We can be the shining example instead of adding to the darkness.
Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.